Hey guys, it's here, and today I'm bringing you my first gameplay of Battlefield Hardline. Luckily, I was one of the lucky ones and managed to get in on the closed beta for Battlefield Hardline, and this means I can play it obviously extremely early, and I can give you guys a lot of gameplay and make a lot of videos on it for you to watch and enjoy. But what I wanted to do today was I wanted to give you my thoughts and opinions on this game and whether or not it is actually worth your money. Now, everyone seems to be saying this game is basically an add-on for BF4, but I am 100% sure this is not the case. It feels like a completely different game. It doesn't even feel similar. It feels like a brand new IP, which is actually, in my opinion, extremely good. If Battlefield is going to start coming out every year, then we want the two games that are made by the two different companies to feel completely different, because otherwise what's going to happen is that they're going to be stealing ideas from each other, and eventually, within about 3 years or so, they'll have completely ran out of ideas, and then the entire Battlefield series will have nowhere to go. So what you want to have is the two series feeling completely different. You want them to kind of have that same kind of Battlefield foundation, but you want it to kind of be built up in a completely different way, because that way you'll stop the series from being stale. Each game will feel interesting, and you won't feel like you're just buying an add-on for a game every year. So first up, I want to say that the whole cops and robbers aspect of this game is actually extremely enjoyable. Originally I was really sceptical about this, because obviously you don't generally get wars going on within cities between cops and random criminals. But it is really enjoyable, and it offers a completely different style of gameplay to what we usually see from Battlefield. Another of the things that I like about this game is the game modes. The game modes are actually extremely interesting. The one that I like the most is called Heist, and this is basically kind of like Rush but actually completely different, which doesn't really make sense, but you'll see what I mean in a second. Near to the criminal spawn there are two vans that contain sacks of money. Your job as a criminal is to run up to these vans and set charges on them to blow off the doors so you can get to the sacks of money that lie within them. Once you've blown off the doors to these vans, you can run up to it and get the sacks of money out, and you have to run it to a certain drop-off point. This game mode is so much fun. It's just extremely exciting. When you get there as a criminal to the vans to try and blow off the things, and then all of a sudden you see these cops in police cars that's driving up next to you, it just actually feels like you are a proper criminal. But now, unfortunately, there are quite a few things about this game that I really don't like. One of these main things is the graphics. The graphic style of this game is actually horrible, and I'm sure that looking at it right now, you probably just think that this game is just disgusting and, not worth your money at all, just from the graphics. Seeing as this game runs on the Frostbite 3 engine, the actual world and the whole map layout and just the lighting, everything like that, that is actually really good graphically. But the downside is that the textures have really bad shaders on them, which makes them feel really flat, and it almost makes the game feel like CSGO. Another one of these graphic errors is like the player models, for example. They are absolutely horrible. They're just really boring and they're really flat, and it feels just cartoony. The facial expressions on the characters are just weird. It's just, I have no words to describe it, but I'm sure you can see from the video that this just doesn't feel right. Another thing I don't like is the survivalist perk that you get in this game. This basically allows you to revive yourself. This means that you can be shot by an enemy, you can go down, but then all you have to do is wait for that enemy to turn their back on you before you can revive yourself, get up and then kill him. That is, in my eyes, extremely overpowered. But I think that luckily a lot of the more famous YouTubers, so not me, because I've got 12 subscribers, I think a lot of those YouTubers have complained to the developers about this, and I think they're going to be taking it out, because I think they have taken a lot of the criticism that they've given on board. And that's really good in my opinion, because obviously EA never listens, so, that's something new and something good. So yeah, great, bravo guys. Another thing that I really quite dislike about this game is the way that you can take ammo and health from other players without you actually having to drop down a med pack or an ammo bag, for example. What the devs were trying to do with this mechanic is they were trying to stop the whole fact that when you're out of ammo and you go up to a support person and they just don't drop ammo for you, you're left for 5 minutes without any ammo before you just eventually die. This mechanic stops that entirely, but what I don't like about it is that it completely detracts from the entire, idea of teamwork within the game. In my eyes, teamwork is one of the things that makes Battlefield. So I think what they should have done was instead make it more rewarding to drop ammo and stuff for your team, so that way more people would do it, rather than just making it so that you can just be a lone wolf and just run around doing your own thing, not worrying at all about what your team is doing. One of the things I do have to mention about this game is the new driving mechanics that lie within it. What Visceral did was they worked with the guys who made Need for Speed to create an entirely new, basically, engine for the way the driving works in the game. It was much more realistic, and you're not bouncing around as much anymore. And also, when you come into contact with like an item that's like a bit of debris on the floor, for example, you smash out the right way rather than just kind of being stopped by every little thing in your path, which really doesn't feel very realistic. The vehicles also seem to have a lot of weight to them, which is a lot more different to what you see in Battlefield 4, for example, where you're just driving along and then all of a sudden you'll fly up in the air, which just is really annoying to me. Now, I've obviously also got to mention the fact that you can hang out of windows and shoot from it, which is really, it's just kind of awesome, to be honest. It doesn't really add anything to the gameplay whatsoever. It's just a cool thing that you can do within the game. Now, I know that I was complaining a minute ago about the way that teamwork, because of the whole fact that you can steal and just take ammo from other players rather than having to ask for it and that sort of thing. This game mode is extremely teamwork based. You cannot get there unless your team is helping you. You need people to be backing you up and taking being a distraction to the rest of your team, which is kind of what I was just doing there. He managed to run away, but unfortunately he does get taken out from behind eventually. Another thing I like about this game is the animations. They're not really very realistic, and they're probably not final animations, but they're a lot more interesting than the boring ones that you seem to get within Battlefield 4, so that's what I like. Now obviously this is Battlefield, so Revolution does make a return. On this map it's just a huge crane that falls down, but this is a scripted event, so that doesn't really interest me anymore, because if you've ever played, just like Siege of Shanghai, which I'm sure you have, it's extremely boring. I've seen that skyscraper fall down a million times now, and it's just extremely stale, and it's just irritating when anyone does it. What I am more interested in now is just normal, typical kind of Battlefield Bad Company 2 style destruction. Unfortunately, apart from the whole fact that you can smash windows, there's very little of that within this game. To me, that's extremely disappointing, but it was kind of to be expected, because the majority of the buildings on this map are skyscrapers. So you can't really expect every single skyscraper within this map to be destroyed, otherwise by the end of the game you'd barely have a map. But on the topic of destruction, the whole way you can destroy windows and stuff is a lot more interesting now. You do actually feel like you're hitting them rather than just kind of smashing something near them and then all of a sudden the window that's next to it destroys. It does actually feel like you are hitting the window down yourself. In my opinion, this game is going to be a complete blast to play, and I can't wait for its full release. I've been TSS, and goodbye.